Previously on The Whispering Tree and the Golden Apple. Last time, our heroes stepped through the ancient portal, leaving the world they knew behind and entering the mysterious Whispering Woods. An ancient path guided them through towering trees until it ended at a lonely stone altar. Strange markings covered its surface, but before anyone could make sense of them, a whisper drifted through the forest. Nothing is taken without return. The path asks before it opens. Leave what is yours. After a moment's thought, Thorin remembered the spiral stone he had discovered at the very beginning of their adventure. Trusting the whisper, he placed it upon the altar. The stone vanished into the ancient table, and with a deep rumble a new path slowly opened before them. The forest had accepted their offering. The next trial presented 6 identical paths. Kaki ventured down one alone, only to return to where he had started. Bjorn tried another with exactly the same result. Believing they each needed their own route, the party split up, but once again every path led them back to the beginning. Then came another whisper. One step. One path. Undivided attention. The answer became clear. This was never a test of direction, but of unity. Together they chose a single path, marching side by side, looking suspiciously like they were all walking like Egyptians. This time the forest allowed them to pass. Their next challenge awaited beside a perfectly still pool. Thorin tossed a stone into the water, unleashing magical energy that struck the entire party. Ella attempted to climb around it, slipping from the trees before Thorin leapt across the pool to catch her. Leah tried simply touching the water, only for the same magic to lash out once again. As Bjorn transformed into a dire wolf, the whisper returned. Jump! Don't disturb. Trust your fortune. Trusting the forest, the companions leapt together into the pool and emerged through its reflection into another part of the woods. Deeper they traveled until a great tree blocked their path, split by a glowing crack. Staring at it achieved nothing. Thorin shouted at it. Bjorn howled at it. Neither impressed the tree in the slightest. Then came the sound of distant quacking. Hollow call, it answers what it knows. Realizing what the forest wanted, Thorin produced the duck whistle they had carried for so long. One small quack echoed through the clearing, and the ancient tree slowly creaked open. The party continued in high spirits. Bjorn filled the forest with music from his panpipes, Elien joined with his flute, Leah somehow played a blade of grass, while Ella proudly accompanied them with a handful of ball bearings. Before long, however, they realized the scenery was repeating. The path itself had trapped them in an endless loop. Ella, Thorin, and Bjorn turned around and walked back the way they had come, quickly finding themselves back at the tree. After sharing their discovery, the whole party retraced their steps together, finally passing through into the true heart of the Whispering Woods. Before them stood an enormous ancient tree. At its highest branch rested the Golden Apple. Bjorn knelt beneath the tree in prayer while Thorin embraced its mighty trunk. Ella discovered a hidden passage inside the tree, perfectly sized for a gnome, while the others stood guard outside. Kaki spoke with Leah and Sarah Leith as the sisters continued rebuilding the bond that had been stolen from them. Although Sarah Leith remembered nothing of this place, Leah still sensed that something magical lingered over her sister. Inside the tree, communication with Ella quickly descended into complete chaos, everyone shouting back and forth through the hollow trunk like contestants on the crystal maze. Eventually Ella uncovered ancient carvings showing gnomes gathered around the tree, another holding a golden apple before a giant eye, and beneath them the warning. What cannot die must be contained. By root and seed be held again. The whisper returned one final time. The seal is breaking. Take the apple, and Raziel. Without hesitation Kaki carried Thorin, then Ella, to the top of the Whispering Tree. As Ella lifted the golden apple from its resting place, it pulsed with golden light before exploding into a blinding flash. When the light faded, the party found themselves face to face with an ancient beholder. At that very moment Sarah Leith collapsed to her knees. Looking at Leah through tear-filled eyes, she quietly mouthed the words, "I'm sorry." The beholder laughed. "Finally! I'm free. What century is it?" It offered the party a simple choice: bow before it and live. As the group hesitated, Bjorn and Ella slowly bowed. The creature smiled until it noticed that Ella was a gnome. "Impossible, your ancestors stole my freedom." Its gaze lifted towards the top of the tree, where a second golden apple had already begun to grow. The beholder turned back towards the party. "I will not go back." And with those words, the battle for the Whispering Woods began. The battle began with arrows. Leah and Sarah Leith were first to react, both aiming for the beholder's enormous central eye. Sarah Leith's arrow flew harmlessly wide, while Leah's struck the creature only to bounce away without effect. Thinking quickly, Kaki launched into the air carrying Thorin before hurling the dwarf straight at the floating horror. It was a bold plan, but Thorin simply bounced off the beholder before crashing back to the forest floor. Elien was the first to notice that the creature's eye stalks were vulnerable. His bolt struck true, but the beholder answered immediately, blasting him with a weakening ray and knocking him to the ground. Above the battlefield, Kaki carried Ella back to the top of the tree while Bjorn leapt forward and sank his teeth into one of the eye stalks. As the battle raged, the second golden apple continued to grow. Leah and Sarah Leith fired again. Sarah Leith missed once more, while Leah briefly weakened another eye stalk. Thorin tried to draw the beholder's attention before activating the frost rune upon his armor, and Elien's next shot narrowly missed. Realizing Ella threatened its plans, the beholder flew to the top of the tree, striking both her and Kaki with a powerful force ray. Ella clung desperately to the branches, but a second blast sent her falling. For a heartbeat it looked as though all was lost. Then Kaki spread his wings, swooped beneath her and caught her in mid-air before carrying her safely back towards the top of the tree. Still held securely in his arms, Ella fired another arrow, destroying yet another eye stalk. Bjorn scrambled after the beholder but couldn't quite reach it, while high above, the golden apple continued growing. Back below, Leah and Sarah Leith moved amongst the trees for a clearer shot. Sarah Leith missed again. Leah missed too, instinctively calling for her kestrel before remembering they were trapped within another realm where her companion could never answer. Knowing brute force was needed, Thorin called upon Giant's Might, doubling in size before pointing his weapon towards the floating monster. "Pussy, come fight!" This time the taunt worked. The furious beholder descended to confront the giant dwarf. Elien took advantage, striking another eye stalk, while the creature answered with another force ray towards Thorin before narrowly missing Elien. Kaki once again carried Ella towards the growing apple while bringing Bjorn back into the fight. The dire wolf immediately lunged forward, tearing into another eye stalk as the golden apple edged ever closer to completion. By now Sarah Leith's confidence had all but disappeared. Every arrow she had fired had missed its mark. Seeing her frustration, the entire party began cheering her on, shouting encouragement from every direction. As Sarah Leith drew her next arrow, her eyes met Thorin's for the briefest of moments. She steadied herself, released, and finally, her arrow struck home. The forest echoed with celebration. Leah, distracted by what she had just witnessed, watched her own arrow sail harmlessly past its target. The battle, however, was far from over. Thorin slashed at another eye stalk with his flaming rapier before attempting a second strike. The beholder simply opened its enormous mouth and swallowed the sword whole. Elien answered with another powerful strike against an eye stalk, but despite the party's efforts, the beholder's wounds continued to heal. Growing increasingly enraged, the creature struck Thorin with a frightening ray before racing back towards the top of the whispering tree, colliding with Ella and knocking her from the branches yet again. This time, Ella had a plan. As she fell, she tied a rope around herself, attached the other end to an arrow and fired it into the tree, safely abseiling down instead of crashing to the ground. Kaki quickly healed her injuries before Bjorn transformed into a giant eagle and carried her back into the sky, waving her before the beholder in an attempt to lure it away from the almost fully formed golden apple. The creature refused to move. Moments later, the second golden apple reached full size. Knowing this was their chance, Leah and Sarah Leith coated fresh arrows with poison and carefully aimed not for the eye stalks, but for the giant central eye. Their shot struck true. Poison spread rapidly across the beholder's eye until it could no longer see. Blinded, the creature crashed widely through the branches in panic. Thorin seized the opportunity, climbing into the tree before leaping onto the beholder itself. Together they floated slowly towards the ground while Elien rushed forward, reaching inside the creature's mouth to pull free Thorin's flaming rapier. Meanwhile, Bjorn carried Ella to the very top of the tree. She claimed the fully grown golden apple and climbed safely back down. Everything had led to this single moment. Then, in one final act of bravery, Kaki healed the beholder's blinded eye. The creature opened it, just in time to see Ella standing before it. Holding the golden apple, she smiled and declared, "How do you like DEM apples?" Before the beholder could react, Ella thrust the apple into its eye. A blinding flash filled the Whispering Woods. When the light faded, the beholder was gone. The ancient whisper returned one final time, thanking the heroes for resealing the creature for another 1,000 years. In recognition of their courage, each adventurer was rewarded with their own legendary golden apple before the ancient archway carried them back home. Waiting for them were Lord Ravenshade, his soldiers, and of course, Loki and Odin. Freed from the magic that had clouded her mind, Sarah Leith confronted Lord Ravenshade. Broken by the loss of any hope of saving his cursed daughter, he apologized sincerely for everything that had happened and revealed a shocking truth. He had never been the one pulling the strings. He had been manipulated by two far greater threats. Cerig Viamont, Elien's own cousin, and Baelgrath Embermore, the dwarven warlock and Thorin's oldest enemy. They were the ones responsible for Seraphine Duskwatcher's murder. The golden apple had only ever been the beginning. Still hidden throughout the world were the remaining legendary relics. The crown of the first king, the Tideglass mirror, the star compass, the blade of the last dawn. With one legendary relic secured and a far greater enemy now revealed, our heroes returned to the Drowned Lantern Inn, where, after everything they had endured, they finally celebrated with the finest fish pie in Hollowmere.